Slamdown is sponsored by BODYSLAM and Jam and WWE Smack Talks and also Impact Fan Nation. Welcome to another episode of Slamdown Live with me, your host, Ashley Friend. We're going to be covering everything Impact Wrestling. Now, I've got to say, this show was probably the best Impact of the new era so far. I couldn't take my eyes off the show. There was no matches that really bored me. I'm loving what they're doing with the X Division. You can tell they're putting effort and in time into the X Division now. What they needed to do, to be honest, a long time ago, they're starting to. And, you know, I think they're getting the right people in. I still think they need to bring some other talent in. I've said before that I think Ricochet is one of the guys that I believe Impact should bring in, especially where he does Lucha Underground and the deal with AAA, so that is a possibility. Also, Rey Mysterio. I know a lot of you guys think, you know, Rey Mysterio is a bit old now, but, you know, he's an experienced veteran. You know, I would like to see him have a run in the X Division. There's so much talent out there. Will Ospreay is another one that I would absolutely love to see in the X Division because of his style. So there is plenty of athletes or wrestlers out there that can fit in that X Division style. But the ones he has brought in so far, I've got to admit, have impressed me. Really impressed me. There is an article on our website about the newest Impact star. I don't even know if I want to try and pronounce his name. I'm going to try. I'm probably going to say it wrong, so I apologise. Desmond Xavier. I think that's right. He was in the tag team division in CZW. I think I've seen so far one of his matches in the Impact Zone. He's an exciting talent. I like the way he manoeuvres in the ring. He feels like old style X Division. With the high spots, also the technical ability as well. He's definitely one to watch out for. He's definitely one of the future. Andrew Everett as well. He's another one for the future. I think used correctly could be big for Impact Wrestling. So they've got potential there for the X Division. I'm not too sure I'm overly keen on the way they've put the title on Loki. I would have rather seen the Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett go for it for the title and then bring them lot back. It's just my personal opinion. I believe that would have been done in a better way. I think just sticking it on Loki was the wrong move in my point of view. Just the way I feel about it. I just don't think when you're trying to build the new era that you should stick it on past guys. yes, past guys can have a title run, but with the way the whole angles were built and, you know, the way they were teasing this too, I think they should have followed through on it. And then sort of build Andrew Everett up a little bit and then had Everett lose the title. That's the way I would have liked it to go. You know, I'm a big supporter of Everett, and I've said it over and over and over and over and over again. Everett is probably one of my favourite guys on the X Division. A lot of talent, and could go a long way. Now, another talent that I like, that they've brought into the X Division, haven't really heard if he signed a contract. We haven't had that information. All we've seen is he's kicked off Impact twice. This time again with a match against Eddie Edwards, which was, in my eyes, a brilliant match. It showed what the X Division was all about. But it seems to me like they're pushing Eddie Edwards back into the X Division. I think that's where they're going to use him. I think after the title run, I think that's probably the better place to put him for a little while. You know, build up the X Division, you know, and then hopefully in time he might get another push. But it definitely seems it's going to be more like Davey Richards is going to get a push now, which I agree with. For people that don't know, that Davey Richards was close to retirement. He said that very publicly, that he was close to retiring. So Impact brought him back at the right time. I do miss Wolves Nation. I still think Wolves Nation could bring more to the tag team division. And I'm hoping in time that we get Wolves Nation back. You know, I can hope, but I do think they do need to bring that back. I'm trying to think it's any other points. Yeah, the Matt that they've brought in. A lot of WWE guys would know him as Evan Bourne. He's someone I've been shouting about that should be in Impact Wrestling for a long time. When he was released, I said he should be in Impact Wrestling. I've said it all the time. So actually to see him in Impact Wrestling now is brilliant. It's the right move. You know, he's different to everybody else and he has got a lot of potential. Hell of a lot of potential if used correctly. And with Jeff Jarrett in the realm and what they've been doing at the minute, I believe he'll be used correctly. There's a lot of stars that I believe would be used in the right way. It's exciting being an Impact fan. It really is at the moment. You know, the tag team division's had a big rebuild. They're working on the women's division. I'm saying the X division is work in progress because there's a lot more I would like to see, which I've been very vocal about. That, you know, they're going in the right direction. There just needs to be a few more little changes, and I think Impact will be spot on. But then saying that, with all these partnerships they've got and all these promotions they're working with, you know, lots of things can happen. There's loads of different things, you know. I've heard about there being a tournament, but I don't know much about it. Apparently, at the minute, what's going around the mill, that Senjin, I can't even say his name now. It's been one of them days. It really has been one of them days. I'm just going to say Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin. That's going around the mill that he will apparently be coming to Impact Wrestling. I don't know if that's true because I know he was going to the WWE. Then the WWE found that injury, and I thought he'd be coming back after he recovers. So if he is actually going to Impact Wrestling, I'm going to say that's pretty good business. You know, while people want him and crying out for him to sign him then, I'm sorry, but brilliant move. Absolute brilliant move. But this is one thing Jarrett's done really well. He's done brilliant and surprising manoeuvres. And this is why I said I'm excited to be an Impact fan. You know, with everything that's going on. You know, how can you not be excited? And there's going to be more wrestling to come, because if you look at Billy Corgan, you know, he's bought the NWA, and we have seen a video by Aiden O'Shea, who's basically said what it was like to work with Billy Corgan's mindset. So we do know that there will be an NWA, but I believe that the NWA is going to be different. It's going to be like another organisation. I think that's the route this is going. I'll be surprised if it doesn't go that route. Really would be. But again, a lot of potential. You know, the way I look at it, the more companies there is, the bigger companies there is around, the better it is for wrestling fans. You know, gives us more content to watch. Gets me excited. You know, there's not often times where I get excited. You know, as fans, we've had a lot of disappointment. You know, we've, you know, seen Impact gone up and down. But it's nice to see now that wrestling is growing, and it's growing in the right way. And like I said, more places for guys to work. But anyway, let's get back to Impact Wrestling. You know, I'm excited. That show, best so far. And if anybody wants to disagree with me, because I'm not this. I can't change my mind on it. I just, out of everything we've seen so far, I think these tapings are a lot better than the first tapings, because there's been more and more lost my point. My brain's just gone on me. Yeah, the more and more I look at it, it's now, with what they've done with Impact, is incredible. Absolutely incredible. I think this set of tapings we've seen being more focused on the stories. Yes, they are still rebuilding. We have had some surprising debuts, but they're doing it in the right way. It's not rushed. They're not forcing it down on us. They're doing it gradually now, and what is the right way to do it. There's still a lot of talent out there that I'd like to see in the Impact Zone. Can't even deny that. But that's why it's exciting being an Impact fan, because there is so much out there. There's more to be excited about. But the only thing we've got to worry about at the minute is injuries. We have seen DJZ is out with injury. Very lucky to have survived the operation. And when I say survived the operation, I don't mean he's died. I mean if this operation didn't work, then he would have had a colostomy bag and would have put him out of wrestling. I've been watching the video back, and I still can't work out how he's done it. The only way I can think of the way that this injury occurred is the force of the 450 splash, and then that's what's done the damage. It's the only thing that I can point out or pick out. I can't work out. It is. I think it's just one of these fluke things that the injury happened, but anyway, let's get into the Impact show. One thing we have seen Matt using the Reborn as a nickname, but the match was very to and fro. Very even. The way they did it, they made it look even, and which I like. I couldn't take my eyes off the match. I was invested into this match. It's probably, I'm going to say it was the match of the night. You know, the amount of twists and turns into the mats, the flips, the finishes. I was drooling at the mouth watching this match. It was like the old days of the X Division. It was amazing. And I've got to give it to the both of them. Both extremely talented wrestlers, and they really showcased themselves phenomenally in this match. I can't. It was just off the scale. Absolutely amazing. I was so impressed with this. The only matches I can compare it to was, I know it's not as good, but on the scale of Will Ospreay versus Ricochet, funnily enough, it was that sort of match. And it was like going back into the old days of Impact Wrestling, and it's what needed to. You know, we haven't seen them days for a long time. The high spots, the oh my god action, but they're more than that. It was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I can't praise that match enough. I want to praise it more. Don't feel like I'm giving it justice. Some people might think I'm overselling this, but I really am not. It blew my mind. See, it's put me in a difficult position because, you know, like I said on this show, I'm always open, I'm always honest, I'm straight down the point. And I've said before, I've watched wrestling for a long time, but that match gave me excitement. I was on the end of my seat thinking, oh my God. And it's rare these days that I get that feeling. But that match brought it to me. So anybody that hasn't seen it, watch that match. After the match we saw Eddie Edwards shake hands with Matt, and then Eddie headed off backstage, and then Davey Richard, and we knew it was coming. Davey Richard attacked Eddie Edwards, assaulted him with a steel chair. Alicia came to his aid by launching herself off the stage onto Richard and Love. Now, I do think they're dragging this out a bit too long, but I believe this is going to lead to Slammiversary, where these two, and I'm hoping, will have a match, and it'll be Full Metal Mayhem. That's where they need to go with that now. You know, for people that don't know, these two had a match where, as the Wolves, they had a Full Metal Mayhem against the Hardys and against the Dudleys. And oh my God, it was amazing. And I think they need to have that type of match against each other at Impact, because then that will really wow the fans. But the problem is, it's not so much... See, a lot of people blame the old era and blame Dixie for a lot of stuff. Now, I'm not here defending Dixie, so don't worry. I'm not defending her. But I've got to say, some of the matches in the Dixie era, I'm going to call them the Dixie era, were amazing. That's one thing I will give her. And I don't give her much because she did ruin Impact. But she also saved Impact at the same time. But, you know, it wasn't actually her herself. It was the people she was listening to, is the way I would put it. We saw Magnus was interrupted by Matt Morgan. Obviously, they're tweaking people at the minute because we've seen, you know, when they first came in, they were the good guys. Now some people are turning into bad guys. It's a bit like, okay. So they're sort of changing people around, aligning people the right way, hopefully. But we see Magnus sort of playing the heelish sort of guy and Matt Morgan playing the good guy. But this led to a match where it's going to be Magnus against Matt Morgan, and then the winner of this will face Alberto Al Potratron. I hate his name. For the GFW title. And what I believe they're going to do here, I believe the GFW champion will go against the Impact champion at Slammiversary, and the titles will be unified, and they'll bring new Impact Wrestling titles out. That's what I believe is happening. I know they've merged the companies, but I think the GFW titles are going to be going. That's the way I think it's going to go. We saw KM gets into an altercation with a janitor after purposely throwing garbage on the floor. I don't get it. I don't get why. He's basically playing the bully. That's all he's really doing there. He's playing the bully role, and I don't really get why they're getting him playing that role. But like I said, it was all right. Another match that I really enjoyed is Christina Von Erring. She signed with Impact Wrestling for a year against Sienna. Now, I like Sienna. I think this is probably going to lead to Sienna taking on Rosemary, and I think that's going to probably be a Slammiversary match. It was another good match. Another one that I want to say, go back and watch. I'm not going to talk about too much about the match because I want people to go back and watch. After that, we saw Eli Drake approaching Bruce Pritchard in the backstage area. Drake gives him an ultimatum. Either give him a match with Al Potratron or he'll go and find him. But didn't realise Al Potratron is standing behind him, accepts the challenge, but raises the stakes and put Al Potratron's spot up for the GFW World title. So it was nice to see they're actually pushing Eli Drake now. Something they should have done ages ago, to be honest. I'm a fan of Eli Drake's. His mic ability, his wrestling ability is good. I do think he needs a bigger push. We see Jeremy Borash is among the fans as he joins the fans in poking fun at Josh Matthews. We see Kenzie Mitchell interviewing Karen Jarrett. She announces that Elisa will be making her Impact debut against Angelina Love next week. Sienna confronts Karen after just winning the GFW Women's title. Karen tells that she has a target on her back. Sienna says, line them up and she'll knock them down. After that, we saw EC3 taking on John Boland. Now, I like that they've gone back to the heel EC3. It seems a little bit different to the previous EC3 heel gimmick. You know, we have seen him say the lines, I am a Carter. But I think he needs that little someone with him that he bosses about. Like when he had the Rockstar Spud. Or even when he had Tyrus. And I want them to get the ref to roll the person out the ring as he brushes his feet back. As that person rolls out the ring, I'd like to see that bit come back. But he's basically saying no one's going to stop him becoming the new Impact Wrestling World Champion at Slammiversary. After that, we saw Magnus taking on Matt Morgan for the GFW World title, which was another solid match. We did see Magnus manage to get the victory by hitting a low blow when the referee was distracted. So using heel tactics, so I'm guessing Magnus is going to be heel. After that, we saw Mackenzie backstage with Bobby Lashley. Basically saying that GFW is here now. in Impact Wrestling, his title is still the most prestigious. Now, like I said, I'm hoping they unify because it's getting kind of boring. Well, I won't say boring, but OTT with the titles, so they need to sort of unify things. The only GFW title I think that could stick around would be the Next Gen title. But if they keep the Next Gen title, I think they need to rename it to the Impact Next Gen. And then I think with the Impact Grand Championship, I'd have that just go around the territories, or even King of the Mountain just go around the territories, because I think it'd work better if we had Impact World Heavyweight Champion, Next Gen Champion, X Division, Tag Teams and Women's. That's all they need. We see JB continues to insult Josh Matthews at ringside by holding up #FreeJB sign. At LAX Hideout, the team start talking about defeating Decay in the street fight. Conan implements that next week he's going to hold a funeral for the former tag team champions. We see a video package of Spod, who is hospitalised after brutal attack. After that, we saw Congo Kong with Laura Van Ness taking on William Weeks. You could see that Laura Van Ness was dictating to Kong on what to do, where to attack, and basically controlling him. Kong got the victory in that, and then after that we see a video package on Sunday Dutt's Eye that's he received at the hands of Loki. After that we see Alberto El Potron taking on Eli Drake. The winner will face Magnus for the Global Championship. Drake tries retreats as soon as the match begins, but we see Alberto chase him up the ramp. Tyrus gets involved and then is rejected at ringside, and then we see Drake and El Potron put on actually a really good match. I was really impressed with Drake on this match, actually. We did see Alberto getting the victory in the end, which we knew he would, but it was another good solid match. Every match on this card was solid. I can't put any match down or pick at any matches. I think they were all solid and brilliant. That's the way I see it. Hopefully next week we should have Charlie back. He has been busy with family, work and everything at the moment, so hopefully he should be back soon. But that's everything for this show. Let us know what you thought about Impact Wrestling by commenting below. I want to say big thanks for everybody watching. This has been your host, Ashley Friend. And I will see you tomorrow for Raw Review.